Thank you. Right, we'll start. Bore da. Good morning. I'd like to welcome everyone to this hybrid meeting of the Planning Committee. This planning meeting is being broadcast live over the internet and will be available to view online now and in the future. We welcome the use of the Welsh language at meetings. I have had no request for people to speak Welsh today, so this meeting will be conducted in English only. Those attending in the chamber, please be aware that we are all on camera and you may be visible on screen when people around you are speaking, and please remember to speak clearly into your microphones. Committee members participating remotely, can you please refrain from using the chat function and instead use the raised hand icon to indicate when you want to speak. And please remember to keep your microphone muted when you are not talking. May I remind members that as per statutory guidance made under Section 4 of the Local Government Wales Measure 2011 and our formally adopted hybrid meeting policy, any member attending a meeting remotely must be able to be seen and heard by the members and officers who are attending the meeting, as well as by members of the public viewing the meeting. So can I ask you all, please, use your cameras for the duration of the meeting. Thank you. Right, we'll go to the agenda. Agenda item 1, attendance and apologies. Niall, do we have any apologies?
We've not received any apologies, Chair.
Thank you. Agenda item 2, declarations of interest. Niall, could you please ask members in alphabetical order to state whether they have any interest to declare?
Of course. So if we can start with Councillor Evans.
None that I'm aware of. Thanks.
Councillor Gordon.
Nothing from me, thank you.
Councillor Gaynor James.
None from me.
Councillor John James.
None from me.
Councillor Janet Jones.
Yes, I declare an interest in agenda item 5, the wind farms, because it overlaps on Glenavon's World Heritage Site, and I'm Glenavon World Heritage Champion and on the Steering Committee.
Thank you. Councillor Mark Jones.
Nothing for me.
Yourself, Chair.
Nothing to declare.
Councillor Slade.
Nothing to declare.
And finally, Councillor Tew.
Nothing to declare.
That's everyone, Chair.
Thank you, Niall. Right, we'll go on to agenda item 3, minutes of the Planning Committee from 23rd of July 2025.
Sorry, Chair. Just to make you aware, I can see Councillor Ashley has just joined.
All right. Okay, would you like to ask him if he's got anything to declare?
Yes, so Councillor Ashley, do you have any declarations to declare?
Sorry, Chair, I've just had computer problems. New computer. Yes. I haven't got the number on my agenda. It's the Cwmbran Lock Gates one. Yes, a member of Cwmbran Community Council. Prejudicial.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Ashley.
Thank you. Sorry about that. You caught me unawares. I'm having problems with this computer. I'm all right now.
Right. Okay. Don't worry about it. Agenda item 3. I said that. I think I started saying it, didn't I? But I didn't get through it. Agenda item 3, minutes of the Planning Committee from 23rd of July 2025. Members, could you possibly state whether you have anything to raise in relation to the minutes? If not, I will take them as approved. I can't see any hands up. We'll take them as approved. Thank you. Agenda item 4, planning application 25P0069 VAR, and it's for application for planning permission for development without compliance with condition 2 of planning permission 14P00645 to extend the permitted range of goods at Unit 3A, Block Gate Retail Park, Cwmbran Drive, Cwmbran. Can I ask Richard Lewis, Planning Consultant, to present the report, please?
Thank you, Chair. Can you see my presentation at the moment?
Yes.
Okay. I think, first of all, just to apologise to members, I realise this is a quite complex and technical report, but we felt that you did need all this information to be able to make a considered decision on the application. I think the history of the site is quite important for members. This is explained in the report, but just to give you a summary, the retail park was approved back in 1987, and there was a condition restricting it to DIY, car accessories, furniture, carpets, floor coverings, household appliances and home furnishings. So a traditionally bulky goods approach to that. And then in 2001, that condition restricting the goods that could be sold from the retail park was changed and varied to allow non-food retailing at Units 4A, 4B and Unit 5. And then in 2002, and this was quite a milestone, this is quite a critical one, that condition was again varied to allow 5,233 square metres of trading floor space for non-food retailing across the whole site. So that represents about a third of the floor area of the retail park that could be used for unlimited retailing, but not food. And then in 2015, the condition was again varied. It was added to allow 105 square metres of net floor space to be used for food and drink from Unit 4C, which was next. So in terms of those conditions, the current restriction on the site can be summarised as this: DIY goods, auto care products, bicycles, bicycle and car accessories, pets, pet food and accessories, furniture, carpets and floor coverings, household appliances and home furnishings, 5,233 square metres of net floor space across the whole park for open retailing, non-food, and 105 square metres to be used for the sale of food and drink within Unit 4C. As I said, that would be the next store. The proposal is to allow the use of pharmaceutical, health and beauty products from Unit 3A only. And the important thing to note is that the previous approval for the 5,233 unlimited retail across the park would include pharmaceutical, health and beauty products as well. But the applicant is looking to have it fixed, this particular range of goods, for Unit 3A because of a prospective tenant. So the recommendation is to approve with a condition that restricts the store 3A for up to 590 square metres of floor space for the sale of pharmaceutical, health and beauty products from Unit 3A, as identified in the attached plan. You will note from the report that there was concern about having a dispensing pharmacy at the park. It was generally felt by officers that this is the sort of use that needed to be in the town centre, that was far more readily acceptable and was more of a community use. Since going into print, the applicant has now agreed to accept the restriction that there would be no dispensing of prescription medication from Unit 3A. That doesn't preclude the selling of pharmaceutical products, medicines and potions that don't need a prescription, but the actual service of prescribing medication wouldn't be allowed from the store. If members were minded to approve and wanted to accept that amendment, then we could add that bit to the condition under delegated powers. I'm sure members will be familiar with where the retail park is. You can see the red splodge that I'm referring to. That's the retail park there. And you'll see the proximity to the town centre. This is Sainsbury's and the former Lidl premises. This is the unit in question. It was formerly Carpetright and has been vacant since July last year. There's some photographs of the site. Again, this is the vacant unit that we are talking about. This is Unit 3A here. This is, I refer in the report to the cycleway. This is the cycleway along the canal. This is looking southwards. You can see B&Q in the distance there. This is the cycleway looking northwards. And this is the link up from the cycleway directly into the retail park. This is the Pets at Home store, and just to the right of that, again, I'm sure members are familiar, but you can walk down into the town centre. It's probably about a 6-minute walk from this point under the Cwmbran Drive, and you get to Asda. And this is just a picture showing that path down towards the underpath, passing Asda. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Richard. I can see one hand up for a question. Councillor Ashley.
So the other reason I was late was I was giving this some thought, to be quite honest. Couple of questions and some observations. Thank you, Richard. It was a good presentation, very succinct. Reading the report, you talk about it as an out-of-town shopping area. Unlike, say, Newport and other areas, it's very much more a near-town shopping experience. I say that succinctly because if you are on foot or a bicycle, which I've been over the 30 years I've lived in Cwmbran, going over the road, as it were, which is the expression a lot of Cwmbraners use, going into lock gates, you can do it very. You can hop you can go where you suggested, or you can hop the road from where Asda used to be and go to supermarket at Sainsbury's and do the run across the roundabout where Pat Bates would love to build a bridge, and do it that way, or you can come back the other way. It's part of a circuit, a shopping circuit for a lot of people, because you quick hop over to B&Q, quick hop over to this development, back again. Used to be Lidl there, there's no real housing development there. And the point being, it's a circuit for a lot of people. Quite a lot of people park their cars over there and go around the town centre if they're feeling like, what if you're carring or you can walk all this. It's very walkable, and I wonder whether the epithet out of town shopping centre, I regard it as a near town shopping experience. The thing is that in Cwmbran we've got this experience now where you can pop over the road to Morrison's and Lidl now, and you're getting that happening now. That is the natural extension of the town centre, that people are pushing the boundaries. That's one thing about that. This development, with or without pharmacy, is the other interesting point. If you have to go to pharmacy, which a lot of us do, there is one pharmacy in the town centre, one over at Old Cwmbran, 2 in Pontnewid and one at Upper Cwmbran. That's your pharmacies, and one over at Crossy. I forgot about that. All within a mile. So and they all sell what this store is probably going to sell really, really bigly. And sorry, I can't think of a better expression. It's going to sell en masse. But bear in mind, in the town centre, you've also got one store there other than the pharmacy store that does it well, and several that do on the side of it. Plus, the 6 supermarkets all do it as well. So it's interesting what we've got there as well. I'm not against this at all, to be honest. The one would worry me, bear in mind, is the pharmacies, because at the moment we've got existing pharmacies, and any danger to any of those pharmacies, bearing in mind the ones that are on the periphery are located where the doctors are. We've got 6 doctor surgeries in the south, and most of them, not 6, 5, sorry, I got it wrong. So So what I'm interested in is, I think the caveat about the not dispensing because it's not natural defect, other than the town centre one, which is on the bus route. There's no bus route into this place. I just wonder what your observations are on this, because I think I agree with what the officers say. And obviously it's a convenient place to pick things up. I'm just looking about how it will skew the offer, as it were, because obviously the town centre management are concerned about that. We do not have a huge thing like there are in other shopping centres like this Newport and other places around that. I had looked at it. I just wonder what the officers' take is on this.
Could you answer that, please, Richard?
Yeah, certainly, Councillor. I think, Councillor Ashley, you're spot on there with the town centre location. It's not an out-of-town park as you see Newport and other areas. It's not so far that you can't walk to it. But in the national guidance, it states a walking distance of 200 to 300 metres. Anything outside of that is classed as out of town. Now, actually, Pets at Home is between 200 and 300 metres from the edge of the town centre, so it's that close. But also, the actual Carpetright unit that we're talking about here is over 300 metres from the edge of the town centre. So, from that point of view, the one we're interested in at the moment is out of town. We've always classed the retail park as being out of town because it's not a straightforward walk. There is a road crossover. There is a slight incline. It's not well surveyed by houses and whatnot. So all of that, we've decided a long time ago that we would class it as out of town. And that gives us more control over the uses that can go there. And we have been very careful in terms of what we've allowed there. But you are right, it is walkable. You can actually park your car in the town centre and walk to the retail park, or park your car in the retail park and walk to the town centre. And that was one of the factors I think we considered when we were looking at this application, as well as the proximity to the cycle routes. So you are right on all of that. I would agree with you. The pharmacy restriction, again, that's the reason we wanted to have that restriction, for exactly the reasons that you said. What I would say is that they can already use 5,233 square metres of floor space for a pharmacy if they wanted to, or within that floor space they can already do a pharmacy. So that was approved a long, long time ago. The fact is they haven't done, but I think because this specific proposal is for a specific operator that sells pharmaceutical products, we felt that we would want to restrict that element from the unit, and have been trying to agree that with the applicant. And as I say, since it went into print, the applicant has agreed that. So it is for members, if they were minded to approve it, to allow us to add that bit to the condition if you felt that restriction was necessary. I hope that covers your points, Councillor Ashley.
I must admit, bearing in mind that most of the pharmacies around, with the exception of the town centre, which serves a very different point, the pharmacies are quite viable. And I would be quite worried if it was, a pharmacy was to open up there, because it doesn't bear any relationship to the existing practices. Let's put it that way round. Most of the pharmacies now are located within distances of the GPs. And that seems to be the general pattern. I don't know, you might not agree with me, but so there, I would agree with your thing and say that we will go along with that. I would hope we would go along with that. Have you got any more comment on that, or you're going to leave it as your previous was?
Sorry, I didn't know that you asked the question necessarily, but yeah, I think what I've already said probably covers that point. I do tend to agree with what you're saying, yes.
Yes, I would think so. I'll leave it there.
Right, thank you. Right, I've got a hand up. Corporate diary.
That will be Councillor Gaynor-James, Chair.
Yes, Councillor Gaynor-James, would you like to ask your question?
Yes, Thanks, Chair. No, it's not a question. It's just stating that I'd like to see that the other pharmacists being protected, and it's always great to see an empty unit filling up, and it's always sad to see the empty shops. So I totally agree on this application.
Right, thank you for that. Next one, we've got Councillor Janet Jones.
Thank you, Chair. I think it's really good that there's another unit going to be in place of Carpet Ride. And if there's another, I listened to Richard's very concise presentation, I would say that we should recommend this with the conditions set down with the pharmacy dispenser being excluded. So I would recommend that, I propose that we recommend this application with those conditions, please.
Right, thank you. I've got another hand up, Councillor Alan Slade.
Thank you, Chair. It's just a quick question. Will the 590 metre squared for this development reduce the 5,000 odd that's available for other products?
Good question, Councillor Slade. That will be in addition to the 5,233. And I must admit, when we first had the application, we couldn't quite understand what they were asking for, because they can already do what they're proposing to do with that amount of floor space. We did try and find out exactly how much of that floor space is already being taken up, and I think quite a significant part is already being taken up by Mountain Warehouse and Next and TK Maxx. But I think the critical thing with this is because they have a prospective tenant that wants to be fairly fixed in terms of what they can do in that unit. Although it's additional, it does mean that some of that, all of that floor space could be used for a specific range of goods. But as I said, it is in addition to the 5,233. But because it's dispersed elsewhere, they need the additional in terms of this new operator. I hope I explained that okay. But
yeah, it's fine. Yeah. Thank you.
Right, thank you. I can't see any other hands up for questions. Could a member move a proposal, or were you doing that, Councillor Janet Jones?
Yes, I was moving that we accept this application with the conditions to accept the dispenser. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
Did we have a seconder then?
Yeah, me.
Oh,
or Steve.
Right, Councillor Evans seconded. Right, thank you. Niall, could you please ask members in alphabetical order to state whether they are for, against or are abstaining?
Of course. So if we can start with Councillor Ashley.
For.
Councillor Evans.
For with conditions.
Councillor Gordon.
For.
Councillor Gaynor James.
For.
Councillor John James.
For.
Councillor Janet Jones.
For with conditions.
Councillor Mark Jones.
For.
Yourself, Chair.
For.
Councillor Slade.
For.
And Councillor Tew.
For.
It's unanimous, Chair.
Thank you very much. This application has been approved, subject to the officer's conditions. Thank you. Right, we'll go on to agenda item 5, and it's planning application 25P0464 DNS to construct and operate a wind farm consisting of a maximum of 7 wind turbines, each with a 3-bladed rotor, and a maximum height to blade tip of up to 180 metres at Mynydd Llanhilleth, located southeast of Abertillery and east of Llanhilleth.
Thank you, Chair. I'll do the presentation now. Hopefully members can see the screen. There we are. This is good work.
Sorry, I've had somebody try to get through to me on another sheet. Right.
That's okay, Chair. Well done for going through all that and explaining it. So, as the Chair said, this is... we've seen this application before, Chair Committee. The last time it was for 8 wind turbines. This has obviously been reduced down to 7. The applicant has had to resubmit based upon the advice of PEDU that the previous application couldn't be taken forward as it wasn't a minor amendment. So most of the details are primarily the same, so I won't go through it all in detail like we did last time, as members will be aware of it. In addition to the actual turbine, obviously you can see the list there, and it's in the report of what that permission is seeking to do. Obviously, the other part that this permission is also looking to do is to exchange common land and to have some of that common land temporarily out of action while they construct the wind turbines, if approved. So this is the siting of the wind turbines. It's pretty similar. So we've got the compound, we've got the substation, and we've got the turbines. One of the confusing things you'll notice, Chair, is that they've kept the numbering, even though they've admitted 1. So it looks like there's 8, but there are only 7. And this is the previous scheme, and obviously you can see the wind turbine that's been removed as turbine 5. As members will recall, there was concerns with turbine 5 in terms of ecological impact and landscape and visual impact. So the removal of turbine 5 is supported by the local planning authority. Again, these details will be familiar to members. It's 180 metres in height, 105 metres to the hub. In terms of that height, we discussed last time, and just to confirm, that's the same height as the Gherkin in London. So these details are the same as what we've seen before, so I'll quickly just go through these. Again, the substation is exactly the same in terms of design and its internal layout. The connection to the grid is the same. Again, what isn't clear quite yet is if that's overground or underground. We anticipate it'll probably be overground. So in terms of minerals, one of the concerns you'll recall last time that we raised was the impact upon the Tempintress quarry. This drawing demonstrates that there are some within the buffer zone, but with discussions with the Tempintress quarry owners, it's still believed that the extraction of that quarry, subject to access to it, can be achieved. So therefore, in terms of mineral policies M1, M3 and M4, it is still compliant with those needs. In terms of the siting of it and the pre-assessed areas, we discussed this before, nothing's fundamentally changed. This is the application site. You'll see turbine 8 is within the pre-assessed area, and the rest is outside the pre-assessed area. The green area here is the British, and obviously what members will recall is that access to the site will be via the British, which is currently with negotiations with us as a landowner. You'll also note, Chair, that I've put on here one of mine, which is in the pre-assessed area, and one of the concerns that we have looked at in the report and what we will be asking PEDU to look at is the cumulative impact upon Pantacasig community as they're wedged in between the two wind farms. So if we look then at public rights of way, again, you'll note that the siting of them are fundamentally the same, and the public rights of way are primarily acceptable. So if we look at the assessment, so this is the visual assessment, and obviously upon historical assets. One of the things that members will note, and we discussed last time, was the distance between the application site and Blaenavon World Heritage Site. And obviously, as you can see here, it's within 5 kilometres. The 26 kilometres, Chair, is one that NRW recognised that all assessments should be undertaken, and that's why that 26 kilometres is there as standard advice. And obviously, we then got centric rings coming in. And as part of the assessment, it's looked at how the impact upon historical assets, and that includes the national park, it includes the country parks, and so on and so forth. And we looked at that last time, and members were agreed that on balance it was fine, and that hasn't changed with this application. So again, we looked at these visuals last time, but as an aid memoir, we'll go through them again. So this is taken from the spot here. So this is within the site, so that's looking down towards the Severn estuary and down towards Cwmbran and Pontypool. And so again, you can see the impact, and that impact hasn't changed from the last time we looked at that and the concerns that we had. So this is Pantygasseg, and obviously on the ridge behind this photos will be Mynydd Mine. Again, there's the Blorange down here, and you can see the wind farm from there. So this one is looking at the cumulative effect. You can't really see it too well, unfortunately, but the green ones that you see, they're the ones that have been consented or have been built. The yellow ones are the ones that are in the system with PEDU to determine, and then obviously the blue one is the application site. And obviously, you can see along the ridge, there are quite a cluster of them that have to be considered. So if we look at those site aerials that we looked at before, and these are the same as what we've looked at before, you can see that cumulative effect of those schemes. And this is the one from the Blorange, and obviously this is Abertillery, which we'll look at the additional information after this one. There's Lanhilleth, which is the subject of this application. There's Mynydd Mine, which we've looked at before. And obviously you can see that ridge and that cumulative impact upon that, again, which we are raising as a matter for PEDU to look at and a concern in terms of the visual impact. And that's the same as what we said last time. So in summary, Chair Committee, this proposal is the same as before, other than it's removed turbine 5. And as I've said, that removal is supported. There has been updated discussions and further assessment on Trepentrus Quarry, and it's considered that there's no operational issues in terms of what the requirements of the owners of Trepentrus want to do, and critically what, subject to necessary consents, the expansion of that quarry as and when required. They've updated the ecological assessments, and the ecologist is happy with those studies. That ecological assessment is primarily to do with the birds and the raptor birds in particular, because obviously those concerns we raised last time about that, and they've looked at that. The other point is, as we discussed last time, how the access to the site is through the adopted highway of Torfaen, and there's been significant discussions on agreement with Highways colleagues on that, including the route and remediation of any damages and removal of items as required. The vision impact is the same, other than removal of turbine 5, but we do have, now that we know what Mynydd Mine looks like, we do have additional concerns in relation to Pantygasseg and the cumulative effect upon them. We raised it last time, but we've solidified that within this application. And obviously, again, there's the concern upon the cumulative impact upon the ridge. Some positive points that we also noted last time, that's one of the turbines within is in PSS Area 10, and this scheme would help meet Welsh Government's 70% renewable generation and will reduce carbon footprint over the 30 years lifespan, 35 years lifespan of it. Again, that hasn't really changed in terms of what we considered last time. So, in relation to what's within the report, it is recommended that we still have some concerns on the cumulative impact, but on itself, it is potentially acceptable. Happy to take any questions now, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Justin, and apologies for the interruption earlier on. I can't see any hands up. Questions? Oh, Janet? Councillor Janet Jones.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Justin. Obviously, as part of the World Heritage Committee, the impact on our industrial landscape is still a source of concern. The impact on the traffic coming in. So our views have not changed from last time. We still need to be forceful in the protection of this area. And I'm not sure if CADU have had a response yet with from NRW. And also ICMOS are heavily involved. So until the steering committee meeting in a fortnight's time, I can't tell you of what they've come up with, but it's still a source of concern, and we still want it noted that the effect and the impact it will have on Blenavon's World Heritage Site and the effect it will have on the whole area. So it's still a source of concern to us. Thanks, Jen. That's all I've got to say. It's not changed from last time. My concerns are still very, very evident. Okay.
Thank you for that, Janet. Councillor Stuart Ashley, you've got a question?
Well, it's not so much a question. I was just going to back Janet up on the, both reports seem to come out with the fact that the rework on this is the visual impact on the landscape. The Brecon Beacons, I can't say it in the Welsh way, sorry, I should do. And the World Heritage Site is exactly that. They're massive things, as I said before, that got quoted in the press for saying. They are very big, and they are difficult to hide in the landscape like the Blaenau Gwent ones were. And they're going to be something that is visually impactful. That said, mind you, they're going to generate a hell of a lot of energy. So, but from World Heritage and from the National Park point of view, they're worrying, and I think it is said the inspectors noticed that if you read the report. I thank our officers for doing what is quite a job, really, where we can't directly comment on it.
Right, thank you, Councillor Ashley.
All I would then suggest, if nobody else is going to let it be noted, I believe is where you go, Chair, with that one.
Yes. Justin, do you want to comment on anything that the last two questioners or members who have commented? Do you want to?
Yeah, the points are commented, and they're same as before. And as you said, Brian and Brenhinog raised concerns last time, and they'll raise concerns again. CADU, I think, were on balance okay with it, but I think it's on the borders of what they consider acceptable. But again, for us, we'll make the same point as we made last time. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah.
Thank you. Councillor Jones, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, just to endorse Councillor Ashley, to thank our officers for doing what in this space is a very difficult situation, and ask that all our comments are noted. Thanks, Chair.
Yes, I'm sure the whole committee would back you up with that. They've worked very hard on this, and it's not easy. Right, thank you. As you know, we don't vote on this, but members are asked to note the report. We'll move on now to agenda item 6, planning application 24P0640 DNS, and it's the construction and operation of up to 6 wind turbines with a maximum blade tip height of up to 200 metres and associated infrastructure at land between Abertillery and Abersachen. Now, can I ask Justin Jones, if he's still speaking to me, Principal Planner, to present the report, please?
Thank you, Chair. Yep, I'm still speaking to you after your excellent introductions of explaining what these are. Okay, so, Chair, Committee, you will recall that we looked at this last time and we raised significant concerns, especially upon the impact on the World Heritage Site, so and the landscaping of that World Heritage Site. You'll note as part of the appendices that that concern has also been raised by other parties such as Cadw, Icamos, Blaen Aberhiniog, Monmouthshire, to name a few. As part of the Development of National Infrastructure process, the applicant does get a chance to comment and make changes to the original submission. So what the applicant has done in this case is that they provided additional information to justify their position. And we'll quickly go through that. But fundamentally, Chair Committee, is that they're sticking to their guns and they're saying that what they submitted originally is still their view, even after taking into account the concerns. They provided some more additional information about the access and road junction. This wasn't an issue that we had raised, but it's an issue that Monmouthshire Highways Authority had issued. So we just put this so members are aware of what this additional information is. And obviously it's to do with display here, so that the turbines that are coming up through Blaen y Gwent can turn within the site, and obviously make sure that the cycle link that goes from Monmouthshire, which is up here, into our boundary is retained, and that the existing parking is also retained. Again, it wasn't a concern that our highways colleagues had, but it was a matter that Monmouthshire did. So that's just from members to note. So the visuals that have been submitted are primarily to address the concerns that Blaen Aberhiniog National Park and Natural Resources Wales have raised, rather than anything that we've done. But I thought it would be useful for committee to see what those photo montages are. So this is the one, it's the axis that we just looked at. So this is the additional splay. This is the route that goes up to the top, and as you can see, there is a hard surface. Again, then we've got scale wire drawings. These are obviously from views within Blaen Aberhiniog. And again, you can see, I think this is tabletop mountain. Again, you can see, and this is some distance within Blaen Aberhiniog as well, so you can see it. This is the site here. So it will be visible. The other point that they've sought to address, and this was from Welsh Government, and has been raised by ecologists in Blaen y Gwent and our own ecologists, and this relates to peat. As members will know, peat is a finite resource, and it is hard to replicate. So the argument fundamentally that the applicant's putting forward is that any peat below 1 metre isn't really viable, and therefore is not considered a resource that really needs protecting. And those areas that it is more than 1 metre, which is these bits here, are sporadic and don't link up to anything, and therefore their loss in the grand scheme of things isn't really worth protecting. But what they do say is that as part of their scheme is that they are able to create additional bog-ground area and wetlands area around here, which would mitigate that. It will be interesting to see what the technical expertise from Natural Resources Wales and Welsh Government Soils Resources people raised to that, because they were the ones who raised the significant concerns about that. And it's primarily that bog areas around here. So, in summary, Chair, there's been additional information on access, transportation, heritage, the landscape, and the visual impact and cumulative impacts, and peat ecology, air traffic control. That was a concern that was raised by NATS, which is the National Air Traffic Control System, and noise. The noise one was a concern for us in that one of the properties had a higher noise level than was acceptable within the specified range, but they are now an interested party in that, and under the guidelines, that noise level can increase because they are an interested party, and therefore it is now acceptable. But the upshot is, Chair, that there's nothing that's been submitted in that additional information that has changed our view of the significant concerns that we expressed initially. Hot off the press this morning, Chair, we've had our landscape consultants also look at the landscape and visual impact assessment, and they confirm that the views that we expressed before are exactly the same now, and in fact I think they've heightened those by the fact that the additional views from Brian Eberhiniog emphasises that the impact it will have upon the World Heritage Site. So we're not changing our view, and we will be putting that forcefully at the subsequent hearing that will be had. That's the end of the presentation. Chair, happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Justin. I have one hand up. Councillor Stuart Ashley, you got a question?
Well, it comes back to what the officers just said about the landscape impact. And I'm very alarmed to hear what the applicant said about peat, because all the current observations on peat bogs, no matter where they are, the peat actually has more impact on climate change than forests and rest. And for them to come out with that one sounds alarming. Having read part of the report that pertains to this, I believe the inspector himself was saying about this. The visual impact of this thing is, I suspect Janet agree with me, this is more profound than the other one. The other application was profound enough, bearing in mind the beacons and the World Heritage. This is directly opposite all of it. Yeah. And when you can get up on the high stuff and look down and see it, they are big. And I don't think there's a way of hiding any of these. And then what you'd also said about the access onto, and bearing in mind that this is a triangle between Torvine, Blaenau Gwent and Monmouth. Monmouth have come out with very trenchant observations there as well. Thank you very much for what you said there, because again, as I said before, you've done a sterling bit of work on this, and it looks like the ecologists and the landscape boys have been in it as well. Thank you.
Do you want to comment on that, Justin?
No, I think Councillor Ashley's just made the points very, very well that we've already discussed. Thank you, Chair.
Yes. Councillor Janet Jones?
Yes, just to say that this is more alarming than item on Agenda 5. Our comments still remain the same. It's going to be noted, and I know that our officers are taking on board what we say. So, yes, just note again that we are really alarmed and really concerned, and really their comments don't really relate to what we're all thinking and saying. So, Justin, please, our comments, just note again, please. And thank you again for all the work you're doing on this, which is extremely difficult.
Thank you, Janet. Right, Councillor Mark Jones.
Yeah, great work, officers. While I sympathise with the heritage site, it's not just their outlook at this bleak. The poor people of Pantygasseg is more or less in their back gardens, and what people got to realise, these things are anywhere between 500 and 1,000 ton each in weight, and that's a hell of an object. It's not just a small windmill churning around. So yeah, we got to make sure that everything's got to be right if they're going to put these monstrosities in place, because they're there for our lifetime, and then obviously they can't get rid of them anyway because they're not recyclable. So yeah, this is very, very important that that this is done thoroughly and correctly. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mark. The next one I got is Councillor Chris Tew.
I'd like to thank the officers for their hard work. Fantastic. I'm sure the future generations of children and residents of our valley would thank them as well in the future. Well done.
Thank you for that. Right, I can't see any other hands up. Just like to thank you, Justin, for the very comprehensive report. We've all understood it extremely well, and we do thank you for that. So, as you know, we don't vote on these, but obviously members are asked to note the report again. Right. I'd like to thank you all for your attendance and your contributions, and I'll now close the meeting.